Okay, now this is something interesting and important. Authorization mechanisms. Okay, so there are few uh, the authorization mechanisms that we would understand, and the first one to begin is the constrained interface, right? Constrained interface is a kind of an access control on the interface. So have you ever been in a situation where you actually doing right click, right? And there are few options that is visible to you, but they are grayed out. You cannot use it, right? So these are the this is an example of a constrained interface where you actually implement an access control on the interface of the user. Okay. Then you have content dependent. What is a content dependent? So you actually restrict access based on the content of the object, right? So you create different views on the database, right? And you actually create views for the people who are supposed to uh, access that object in which is residing inside the database. So that is content dependent. You are restricting access based on the content. Then there is a context dependent. Okay, so context dependent is something, for example, if you want to download any ebook from, let's say, Kindle. Okay, you want to download an ebook from the Kindle. Now before downloading, if that book has a price tag to it, the system would ask you to pay for that book, make the payment, and then you can download it, right? You cannot download it before, right? So it actually needs to have a specific activity before granting access. Okay. Then we have next one is need to know. And trust me guys, these two terms, need to know and least privilege, these are the two basic important fundamentals of any access control. And a lot of people get confused with these two terms and they end up using interchangeably, which is not right. So let's talk about the differences and the definition of these two terms. Need to know. Whenever you want to access the any data, any resources, any objects, why do you need to know? Why do you need to have access to this, right? So someone would ask you a question, why do you need this access? So what are you going to present? You're going to present with a justification. So that business justification is your need to know, right? Now, least privilege. Least privilege is the minimum amount of privileges necessary to perform an assigned task. That's what is given. So if someone is given a access, or probably someone just needs to read the data, they are not supposed to make changes to the data, not even copy the data. They should be only be able to read the data. That's it. Okay. Did, did we understood the concept between the difference between need to know and least privilege?
So even if somebody has the least privilege, then again he might not like need to know, which can, the question of need to know can still be asked.
Yeah, both the things needs to be done. Both the things has to be sufficed. It's not like that someone has a least privilege, they do not want to. So the privilege will only be given when you actually provide need to know. The first thing, you need to have a like business justification to access the data.
Okay.
Okay. Then we have separation of duties. Separation of duties, nothing new for us. Any critical task needs to have, if they want to perform any critical task, that has to be performed by more than one person. Okay, so no single person is allowed to perform end-to-end critical task alone. So I gave numerous examples of uh, the cashier sitting at the counter. They cannot give away them cash more than $5,000. They need approval from manager, right?